or 16 years. I didn't like order these songs at all. I'm just kind of playing it by ear here. Should I do the sad songs yet, or should I wait till later? Like, should we?
Dude, didn't know it was sad songs?
All my songs are kind of sad. Is the thing. I'm gonna do this song. If y'all know me, you know that I've written lots and lots of songs recently about the uprisings that grew out of 2011. And I'll just do it like this. And this is one of them. But this is something recently. Did you detune this thing?
Yeah, it's a bad guy.
So there's a factory in Pennsylvania called Combined Systems International, and they make something there. They're owned, by the way, by a company in New York called Point Lookout Capital Finance, which is vague enough. Point Lookout Capital Finance is owned by another company called the Carlyle Group, which is where, ironically, both George Bush Sr. and Bin Laden's parents have worked in the past, ironically. But, or perhaps that's not ironic. Who knows? You know, there's this very controversial quote from Ronald Reagan where he compares the Taliban to the Founding Fathers. And that's supposed to be controversial because you're supposed to think that the Founding Fathers were good. But I was like, no, that's actually a very accurate quote. I mean, like, the Taliban's actually, like, fairly light compared to the things that the Founding Fathers oversaw. I mean, if you want to talk about, like, killing millions of people, yeah. Like, so, it's actually a fairly accurate quote. Also religious fundamentalist, of the wrong kind. Like, John Brown was the good kind of religious fundamentalist.
Hell yeah!
He was probably a kind of awkward dude to hang out with, but he did good things. And so this song has nothing to do with John Brown. But it has to do with this factory in Pennsylvania that I was telling you about. That's owned by all these other companies. And so what they make there is tear gas, and it's the tear gas that you saw on the streets of Egypt, of Greece, of Yemen, of Bahrain, of Oakland, of Pittsburgh, Spain, all over the place, right? Turkey. Palestine, and so I wrote a song about that. First to me, David. I also made a meme about this that went viral. First thing I've ever done that went viral. Still can't tune a guitar though.
Rising like a flame, and it captured your pride and determination. When you broke through the police lines and you made it to the square. And there's something that connects us. You can smell it in the air. Control the streets, but you were there at every turn. And the world will not soon forget what happened there. And there's something that connects us. You can smell it in the air. that connects us. You can smell it in the air. I saw a picture on the internet. You were rising like a flame, and the water from the hoses fell like rain. At the barricades, attacks and violence everywhere. And there's something that connects us. You can smell it in the air. I heard you didn't stop marching like it was 1965. And your so-called leaders flew to town to keep you in line. But you broke the curfew openly and your hands were in the air. And there's something that connects us. You can smell it in the air. Oh, there's something that connects us.
Thanks, y'all. So, also in Ferguson, that tear gas. Doesn't get much like that much more obvious than that, you know, when you're like, oh, I see. It's like a kid in Egypt and a kid in Ferguson are like, yo, check this out. And they're like, oh yeah, us too. And they're like, okay, so we're cool. Then we're obviously on the same team, more or less. Got it. Cool. Good. Bring the people together. Thank you, Carlisle Group. Good work. Good on you. How's this song? It's a bit of a heavy song here. Kind of. It's about struggle. That's the theme in life. Folks who grew up in Baltimore or in another fucked up place will understand the subject matter. Well, I heard from your mother, heard you wrote her a letter. You've been living in New Orleans and you're doing so much better. You got more than one shot. It all fell apart so fast. Well, there were times when I admit I thought you didn't stand a chance. I know you blamed it on yourself. You couldn't place what was wrong. You couldn't face certain problems and you thought you were alone. Well, there's a future in this world for you beyond the things you've done. You know, people pick themselves up after being so far gone. Well, I remember you, how you used to come around, playing your guitar with a cigarette in your mouth. Everyone you came in touch with would love you, man. You were one of the most sincere people living in this town. And then you rode the High Line west. There were adventures up ahead, but you were running to from something I couldn't understand. You were only 19. You got caught up in the scene in a city full of heroin. That's where so many roads lead. I found you there in the center of it all, to a
afraid to say something. I chose to play the fool. Well, we talked about protests and politics and friends, and I drove to Houston hoping I would see your face again. My friend, you're so needed here. Your laughter and your smile could save somebody's life if they could hold it for a while. You got so many friends, and we got nothing but love for you. If you can make it through this, there's so much you can do.
So, the heroin, you know?
Yeah.
That was one of my sad songs. I got another one later. It might not be as sad for you. I was telling somebody, they were asking about my songs the other day, and I was like, most of my songs are sad. And they were like, I bet you're one of those people who seems really happy all the time. And I was like, I think I am. So that's like a thing, I guess. So this next song is the title track of like the new album that I've been working on for far, far, far too long. But it's gonna be really cool. And the fact that it's taken so long is a reflection of itself, because the whole album's about history and understanding history, but understanding it in a deeper way than like just saying, yeah, history's important, you gotta know your history. And this song's the title track, and I wrote this, like, ironically, I wrote this at a friend's house in Sweden the day before Occupy Wall Street started. And I was one of those people that was like hating on Occupy Wall Street before it started, like hating on it. I was on tour in Europe and people were like, what's up with this Occupy thing? And I was like, it's bullshit, man. People are gonna like sleep in a park and then it's gonna be over and the police are gonna beat the shit out of them and everyone's gonna go home. You don't understand how you build a social movement in the United States. And this is exactly what I was saying. I sounded like an asshole in retrospect. But, you know, you can't blame me. We tried that a bunch when I was young. We were like, this is going to be the next Seattle. You got to come out. And then people would show up and be like, dude, this sucks. And you'd be like, I know, man. Sorry that you got arrested. But, like, in 6 years, you're going to have, like, $10,000 from the settlement. So, you know, there's brighter days, you know. One time there was this mass arrest in D.C., the People's Strike. And all my friends were all there, and like, and everyone gets funneled into this park, and I was like, I'm not going in that park, man. Everyone's gonna get locked up in that park. And so I was like the only person, me and like 6 other people that, you know, I didn't know, but I was the only person from my crew that was like, fuck that. Everyone went in, everyone got arrested, and some of my friends got $50,000 recently, man. I was like, fuck.
You should have gone in that park.
Yeah, so the lesson is go into the park. And the unfortunate reality is that that money doesn't come from like the police, it comes from the DC taxpayers. So they don't give a shit if they rack up a huge fee in human rights violations. They'll just have you pay for it later. It doesn't really matter to them. So
That's capitalism!
this song Today and Tomorrow, I wrote that night right before it, and I wrote it criticizing people for being too nostalgic about the past, being so nostalgic about the past that they can't see the present right in front of them, and they're not aware of the things that are going on, and they're just feeling down and mopey like I was. And then I wrote it, and then later I look back and I'm like, damn, I wrote that song also about myself. So this is that song.
Best to know the worth of what you got before it's gone. But you can't let yourself get stuck, cause you're afraid you might be wrong. You're nostalgic for 68, I'm nostalgic for 99. But sometimes thinking back too much can make you close your eyes. Cause what we do today matters both today and tomorrow. history is to build something new. I don't care what you read about unless it impacts what you do. You want to recreate 68, you want to recreate 99. Try learning their hard lessons to reflect and then refine. Cause the good old days just suck sometimes if you ask those who were there. And the answers weren't just blown in the wind, they were put there. What we do today matters both today and tomorrow.
So not only did I shit on Bob Dylan in that line, but I was originally trying to quote Billy Joel when he's like, the good old days weren't always good and tomorrow ain't as bad as it seems, but I couldn't fit it in. So I had to, but props to Billy Joel for basically for that line, even though that was about playing baseball in Brooklyn as a kid. It's all about interpreting stories.
But history gets simplified with the passing on of time. And causes and effects sometimes take decades to define. I've seen the long shadow of 68 by the ruins of the Berlin Wall. I've seen the long shadow of 68 in Seattle. Looking back from here now, all the pieces seem to fit. Sometimes it's hard to notice the changing world when you're right inside of it. But without us, the future is a boat without a sail. Without our best attempts, we set the next ones up to fail. What we do today matters both today and tomorrow.
Thanks y'all. David Rovics, back up.